I wanted to write this out as detailed as I can and suggest that before you attempt a trip, you should read this report. Now, this all started in 2011. I was young back then, still a freshman in high school. I had some experience with cubensis, but had never gone past the level 3 to level 4 threshold. Well, a few weeks before this trip, my best friend passed away. She took her own life. I thought I should take some shrooms to help me out. I was depressed from her dying and needed some help, because I was deeply saddened by what had happened. I went over to my buddy's house. He was the one that had been selling me cubensis and pot for the past year. I was telling him about what had happened and asked him for some mushrooms. He was tripping and had just got back from Washington with a bunch of mushrooms. He sold me half an ounce and I headed back to my house. My friend's funeral was in 2 days and I didn't feel like eating them till I knew she was gone. 2 days later, I went to her funeral. A buddy of mine and her was there. Me and him smoked pot a lot with her, and we decided to go do something after the funeral. We were both really sad, but she was gone, so we just went to the skate park to get our minds off it all. I told my friend he could come stay at my house if he wanted, and told him how I had a large amount of what I thought at the time was cubensis. He agreed, so we walked back to my house. It was about 9 p.m. by the time we got home. I got home and pulled out my stash of mushrooms. I wanted to go as far as I could. I felt like I would see my friend again and have some closure if I ate a lot. My friend had never tripped before, so I gave him an eighth. I ate an eighth and a half. We were sitting in my room listening to The Pursuit of Happiness and munching them down. My friend instantly said he could feel it. I kept telling him the fun has yet to begin, but he wouldn't listen. We decided to leave my house. My mum was drunk and asleep, so we left out the window to not wake her. We got to the grocery store and I could feel the mushrooms taking effect. I bought some orange juice, one for me and one for him. I couldn't remember if I had paid for it or not and went to the bathroom to check my pupils. I told my friend we should get back to my house so we could have some peace and quiet for our journey. We were walking home drinking our orange juice when I started to notice heavy waves on the ground. It was like the whole street was vibrating with energy. My friend was freaking out, thinking that every car that passed us was a cop. He was starting to get to me. It took us a while to get back because we had to hide every time a car passed. We got back and I was gone. My room looked purple and very mathematical, like it was all planned out in purple lines. It looked like a fuzzy drawing made up of purple lines. My friend was scared. He kept saying that we were going insane. So I got scared too and ate the rest of the shrooms. I was worried he would do something crazy and the cops would find them, and I refused to flush perfectly good shrooms down the toilet, so eating them was the only thing I could think of that destroyed them without wasting them. So I ate another eighth and a half. That was a major mistake. We left out my window again. My friend was being loud and we didn't want to wake up my mom, so we grabbed his skateboard and left. My skateboard was in the garage, so I opened it and saw my mom standing there waving at me. My blood went cold. She was already thinking about making me go to rehab because she found OxyContin, hash and a bottle of rum a few weeks back. I walked closer and it turned out that it was just a pile of boxes, not my mom. I had hallucinated the whole thing. I grabbed my longboard and we started to skate down the street. I was looking at the ground and could see little rivers passing by as my board floated down the road. There was a bus stop and we decided to take a break. It was about 1 a.m. and we wanted to talk. My friend thought he'd gone insane. He was very worried, scared and sad about my friend dying. I tried to comfort him, but he did not understand what I was saying. He got really angry and pulled a knife out of his pocket. I had no idea he had a knife, but he put it to his throat and told me that we were now insane and the only way out was to die. He said, "If I go, will you follow?" I told him to calm down and put the knife away. He jumped up and said, "You're the one that made this happen." He lifted the knife towards me and stood up. I said, "Let me have it. I'll do it myself." He started to cry and said he didn't want me to kill myself. He started to talk about my friend's suicide. We were talking it over and were depressed. The other dose I ate was kicking in way stronger now, and I was starting to lose my grip on reality. I walked out onto a football field for my high school and fell to the ground. My friend was running around in the dark calling my name, but I could not move. I kept seeing a clock. The trip seemed like an eternity. Time dragged on so slowly, and at this point I lost my ability to think. I saw a lot of colours and heard voices all around me. I've smoked DMT, and even DMT was less crazy. I'm not sure how, but my friend found me about 30 minutes later. He picked me up and walked me home, put me to bed, and went to sleep. I'm not sure if I did sleep that night. All I remember was some crazy patterns and visions of a magic school bus. I thought for sure I was dead. It felt like every second was a month. I woke up the next morning and did not eat. I did not speak and could not think. My mum knew something was up, and my friend told her what he had done last night. She took me to the ER, where they put me in a mental hospital. I said nothing for a whole month straight. Time had stopped during the trip so badly that I thought the whole month was an illusion. Eventually, I was okay, but I have not done mushrooms since then. They scare me badly. It turned out that the mushrooms were dry psilocybe azurescens. My dealer had switched up the bags. That trip was more intense than 35 hits of acid ayahuasca freebase DMT. And yes, I've tried all of that since then. The only thing that it compares to is DMT, but even that has never been so mind-erasing. Mushrooms are no joke,